Larysa Melnychuk lives and breathes finance. Not only is she the founder and CEO of FP&A Trends Group, a leading online resource for FP&A professionals, but she's also the founder of the International FP&A Board and chairs the Global AI FP&A Committee. Larysa has her finger on the pulse of everything that's coming up next in the world of finance. I spoke with her to discuss what the future holds for FP&A professionals. Tell us about the FP&A Trends Group. Tell us about your mission and a little bit more about how you got started.
I always worked for somebody else for many, many years, for great organizations, and I was growing from financial analyst to global FP&A director. I was responsible for the whole Europe and worked for many, many different industries. I'm really grateful to AFP. It was the moment when they invited me to be one of those volunteers that started to develop this wonderful and the first in the world FP&A certification. So I was one of those first volunteers. And then I had a contract with them to start to develop the first communities. So it was like the period of transition for me, from the working for somebody else, starting to work for myself. And actually, the first international FP&A board meeting, as FP&A Trends Group, it was in the year 2016. The main idea was that through discussion and collaboration to understand what is happening in the world of my colleagues. The main mission to understand what are the latest trends and developments in modern FP&A. But all together with this collective mind, with this collective view and vision, we are not only following the trends and identifying them, actually we are setting the trends. So this is the story.
What I love about having you on this show, Larysa, is that you bring that global perspective. Based on your experience, what's different and what's similar in FP&A teams or trends across the globe?
The best practices, the global trends, they're really global. And they are vendor agnostic or industry agnostic. The differences are in industries, in modeling, only in modeling, but the way how you can set up this is the best practice. But at the same time, we always appreciate the local differences of our particular, of every chapter.
Can you tell us more about how you're setting some of the FP&A trends?
The biggest trend and ultimate goal for many FP&A departments is to be agile. And one of the ways how we can evaluate this agility is obviously through scenario management. How flexible you are, how quickly you can do this, how you can connect and harmonize this. Of course, XP&A, or we call this harmonized planning process, it's another huge trend. In terms of the technology, we are talking about technology 2.0. So it's already not only predictive, it's already prescriptive, but then the trends are different depending on the company. Some companies are still at the beginning of their maturity, and obviously the natural next step before they become prescriptive, it's to become predictive, and even with their driver-based model and implementation of system. The role that is very, very important at the moment, we call this FP&A data scientist. Not the classical data scientist with university degree on data science, but the person who understands both worlds and the person who actually can create those bridges. The second one is, we call this FP&A architect. This is the bridge between finance and IT. But not only this, it's also modeling and it's also understanding the infrastructure of different system or ecosystem that is required for FP&A in order to be flexible, dynamic, in order to have this scenario management mindset, not scenario planning as we used to have. It's scenario management mindset, flexible and dynamic, practically with push of the button at different levels of organization.
With relatively new technologies like cloud, AI, and blockchain, how will these impact finance operations and ERP?
they're already affecting FP&A, and those leading organizations, they're really reducing the time for non-value adding activities. Amazingly, only 33% in general is spent on value adding activity in FP&A, namely generating of insights, driving actions, driving decisions, only 33%. And also we notice that it's happening very, very consistently like this over the last 5 or 6 years. So it's not improving so much, yeah? But then we analyzed those organizations that already started to use AI/ML. So amazingly, it's increased this value adding activity almost by 16%, actually more than 16%. So those that started to use AI/ML, they're able to generate insights, drive actions 50% of their time. It's not only that, they allow actually to go so deeper into those drivers, and that we even can predict what would be the behavior, and also to identify those drivers that we never knew that they existed. So definitely they are going to change the way how we work.
Where do you see the line between artificial intelligence and the value that human intelligence brings?
It's so difficult to find a really, really good FP&A professional, this new generation with data insights, with architecture, with understanding of many trends that are happening here. In reality, artificial intelligence is as good as processes and people that create them. So it's always the formula for success. It's artificial intelligence plus human intelligence. Otherwise, it would be something that nobody will understand.
How do you see the role of women in finance, and in particular in the FP&A industry, with these trends?
The great news that it's changing, and we see more and more women in the profession, on the senior position, even at the executive director roles. But it's still a little bit behind. Generally speaking, there are less women in senior FP&A roles, finance roles, than we would like to have.
We both have daughters, and what could we say to them that would get them into this profession?
Just reminding them that everything is possible, and you have to develop, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to love what you do. If you are passionate, people can see it.
Are there any more points or closing remarks that you would like to make before we wrap up?
Our traditional ways of budgeting and planning and forecasting, they are going to change. There will be no one forecast, the quality of forecasting, the way how we calculate it, it's not going to happen anymore. And also, there will be no only one scenario, there will be more. So start to build those driver-based models, start to create the systems, start to educate people and create these flexible processes, because you would need it.